Please. Oh, that's good. Wow.
All right, we're ready to roll. Start budget and finance.
First item on tonight's agenda under budget and finance is an agreement with G.H. Harris, who also does our delinquent taxes. Where I'm doing a motion, or I'm requesting a motion to hire them, no cost to the district, who will also help to collect our debts and obligations when people refuse to pay their cafeteria debts, their textbooks, their technology fees, for athletic uniforms, their field trip bills, their tuition, when they fail their virtual courses, which also allow us for online billing or payments, to pay their prom tickets, their dance tickets, graduation expenses, etc. So parents can, sort of like they put money on their cafeteria accounts, parents can go online and pay their student bills, but they'll also go in, also take care of our debt collections. We do lose thousands of dollars a year in trying to go after unpaid collections. So it's very difficult for us to go through that process, so they will assist us with that. The fee schedules are basically they take a small percentage of the collection for the fees, but we will recoup more than we will pay out. So we are requesting their approval for that.
And we would give them a list that they would communicate with to get the money?
Yeah, they will do like 3 attempts, and then they could take them to small claims court, just as they do with debt collection on unpaid taxes, on delinquent taxes. After we attempt several times on making our communications, then we turn it over to them after basically 3 or 4 documented attempts.
So Dr. Schenk, would they tell us before the step to small claims?
Yes.
Okay, because that's important.
Yeah, we would tell them who we want to go to small claims and who doesn't. We also set up payment plans, all the rest of that, but when somebody outright refuses to pay or has refused not to pay.
Oh, do you know the bite that they take, percent?
Do you have that with you? The fee schedule? Do you know how much?
What's their fee? 10%, 15%, 12, 13?
When we go to delinquent?
Right now, they give us the schedule, like at first, they're going to spend on the delinquent $5, 100 is $16 fee.
So they're taking 16% of $100.
Yeah.
Okay.
Under.
Yeah.
So if it's $16 or less, just
Let it go, right?
Yeah.
Which we usually don't send if it's less than $20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our big ones are, we have people who owe $3,000 to $5,000, so we're eating it over the last couple of years.
Yeah, between 100 to 300 is $22. Then 300 to 500 is $30. Like a gradually increase.
The average on a failed virtual course for us is, $400 bill per semester, and somebody refuses to pay it. You may get $2,200 or $22 on a $400 course. You're still going to make, $380. So you get double the back.
Okay, I'm just curious what the fee.
And this is the first time we're doing this?
Yes, because we've not been able to collect it. We've tried going through legal counsel, but then you pay $165 for them to write a letter and try and follow up to go through it. This is actually a cheaper way to do it than trying to use counsel.
You know if any other school districts are using these people to do this?
Yes, some school districts, they use this company.
What is some? 2, 3? Did they give you names of the districts in
Yeah,
Berks County?
they do. Give the Berks County, that's Government Midland and Fleetwood, and that's Berks County. Then other county, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They just give like 8.
So Mifflin and Fleetwood are using this right now. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Can you give us a reeval after?
Is it a 1-year contract?
Yeah, is it 1 year?
And it's a forever contract.
No.
But what we'll do next
Yeah.
year, we'll bring it back to you next year.
Okay,
With
just-
the data that says,
okay,
yeah.
was it worth it?
Was it worth it? Was it?
Yeah,
We
I'd
can
like
get
to
out
know
of
if
it.
it was
We want
worth
to get
it.
out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but you didn't have to sign a minimum 3 year, 5 years.
No,
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 it's just-
yeah,
Annually, we can check it. Okay.
Yeah.
Forever is a long time.
Forever so long.
Yeah.
So what happens if they cannot collect the fee, if they still don't collect?
so they have like a schedule, and they have to, if you go to court, then
Small
they're,
claims court.
And after that?
Like now, it's nothing
Okay.
because the legal fees are that large that,
Well, at some
yeah,
point.
at some point you,
You gotta
Yeah.
let go.
but at least there's an attempt because we have some top people that we'd have to go after And I just don't want us to go after $19 or $4.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
important that our district
understand.
sends the list to them.
Right.
Okay, so, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
The other members of the committee fine?
Thank you.
Are you welcome?
Number 2 is the agreement with BCIU, printing and payment of real estate taxes and per capita bills for 22-23. Cost of $16,075. 21-22 cost was $15,730.
Any questions on that one? Good.
Number 3 is what we talked about at finance, which is the CSIU service rates for the financial software. And that
Yeah.
it's on the agenda. That was discussed at finance on the 23rd.
No problems with that either.
That's it for budget and finance.
Okay.
In personnel, we have 14 items. Just walk us through those, please.
Sure. Number 1 is the resignation for purpose of retirement for Sue Ann Brown. She's a part-time paraprofessional assigned to the elementary school effective June 8th. She's approximately 25 years with the school district. Angela Marino is a mentor for Karen Frost. She is the LTS for high school arts. Her compensation is per the CBA and is prorated for the fourth marketing period. She'll be filling in there through the end of the school year. Number 3 is Lindsay Moyer. Recommended appointment for Lindsay Moyer as a math and computer science teacher assigned to the high school beginning August 17, 2022. She is a replacement. Bachelor Step 1 from Kutztown, Instructional 1 certificate, math and computer science, a new teacher and a graduate of Oley Valley. Motion 4, Daniel Schaefer as the mentor for Lindsay Moyer for next school year. And keep going unless you tell me to stop,
Go
okay?
ahead.
Number 5, Amanda Stern is high school social studies, replacement, master step 2, social studies certification 712. Her master's degree is in teaching and from the California University of Pennsylvania. Her mentor will be Sean Niels. She starts August 17th, 22, and that is a replacement position as well. Number 7 is the HR position, the transfer of Deb Berniker from the position of executive assistant to superintendent to the position of HRPR, effective July 1, salary 72, benefits per the Act 93 agreement. Number 8 is the appointment of Amanda Maurer as the long-term substitute certified school nurse assigned to the elementary school, effective August 18th through December 23rd. She has her BS in nursing from Chamberlain College of Nursing and Eastern University and school nursing PK-12. And her mentors for her LTS position will be Holly Stutzman and Marissa Koskolinski for that. And it's a 50-50 split. And then number 10, Amanda Moore will have 5 per diem days, which is a bachelor step 1. As the nurses in the collective bargaining agreement do receive 5 days over the summer to work, especially at elementary, for our incoming students and get the health room ready, communicating with parents and guardians on immunizations, requirements, health records, all that stuff that has to happen before the start of the school year. So she'll get 5 per diem days. It is a motion because she is an LTS. And the nurses do get those, but it has to be done a little differently because of the language of the contract. That's why you see that as a separate motion. Number 11 is an FMLA leave for Jenny Hoffman, April 18th through and including May 19th. Motion 12 is the ratified Charity Hood as student activities treasurer, effective March 1st, 2022 through and June 30th of 23, and bonded annually, which kind of usually we do that in May. I just kind of included it here so it'll be done. As Ming is working to realign responsibilities in the business office and balancing out things there. Charity has taken over and is doing an outstanding job as working with student activities and all the teachers and advisor who do that position. Number 13, you'll start to see coming through. There will be names added between now and the 20th and probably names added in May as well for our summer instructional programs. So these are the teacher in parks people, summer academy teachers, as well as 14 is our ESY teachers, and they are as listed, and paraprofessionals, and 14 is ESY teachers and the paraprofessionals and the summer tutors.
Board members, committee members, any questions or comments? Thank you, Dr. Shank.
Okay, and then policy.
3 items, take it from there.
So we have coming back around again for second reading, because they were tabled, are the 200 section. So I will start with those, and I'll take questions on the 200 section up through 255, or actually up through 011.1, and then we'll get to 903.
I looked up on 2003 policy, immunizations and communicable diseases. I also looked at the same policies in different school districts. Seems like some of the policies that we have, even though the other districts also been recently updated definitely within a year, our policies have more stuff added to them than the ones in districts. My biggest concern would be with, it's within 2 or 3, where that comes to religious exemption and the parental choice, and the Secretary of State pretty much can override it. If one of the languages turn for me. That's where I don't feel completely comfortable, because I still don't believe that it should be parents and their health professional right to decide what's best for their child. I believe it's under guidelines. It's about paragraph 4. Student who presents a statement signed by the parent guardian that the health examination is contrary to the student's or parent's guardian's religious belief shall be examined only when the Secretary of Health determines the facts exist indicating that certain conditions will present substantial menace to the health of others in contact with the student, and the student is not examined by those conditions, for those conditions. Based on what we just went through and calls that have been made by those higher officials, I have a concern with that particular statement. And it's not in the other school districts. Lingo.
When you say other school districts, what school districts are that?
I looked at Hamburg and I looked at Tuckahoe.
What was the-
Hamburg and
Hamburg, yes. Actually, as a matter of fact, I think I still have policy from Hamburg.
What's the date on the Hamburg policy?
August of last year. So there was, I just took 1 for 1.
It's never 2 or 3.
Yes, it was 2 or 3.
Of the old or the what's
On the new one.
new, oh,
Yeah, the new proposed one. Yeah, I have a Hamburg policy.
Which paragraph was it again? I'm trying to see that.
That was about the student. Page 2. In Hamburg, it says, students shall be exempt from immunization requirement whose parent, guardian object in writing to such immunization on religious grounds, or those physicians certified that the student's physical condition contraindicates immunization. And it does not have anything additional as the policy that we are looking at does have.
So ours says that I see here.
Yeah, and Hamburg, the next one says, a student who has not been immunized in accordance with state regulations shall not be admitted to or permitted to attend district schools unless exempt for medical or religious reasons, provisionally admitted by the superintendent or designee after beginning a multiple dose vaccine series and submitting proof of immunization and medical certificate on or before the 5th school day of attendance, which is what we have in our policies, but we do have additional language that seems and from what I read, seem to override the parental and religious beliefs.
The highlighted portion? Or in accordance with programs and guidance established by the Pennsylvania Department of Health?
No,
That's what you're objecting to?
no, not that one. That's Department of Secretary of State.
Okay, I don't see that.
A student who presents a statement signed by the parents, it's under, let me get the paragraph. Guidelines, it's paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Foster care students?
A student, no. It's under guidelines
Right.
in the policy of, never mind. I'm in 209.
Oh my God.
Yay.
Well, you know what? Mine just skipped around too here.
You're on 209.
Yeah, it was the 209. Yes. That's the health examination. Sorry. Get the handbook.
Page 26.
Yeah.
Two oh nine one.
So in contrary, like I'm looking for the Hamburg policy, that's those, in the event that parent garden objects or refuses to obtain a regular special health or dental examination, or refuses to permit the child to be examined as arranged by a school nurse or school physician, the school nurse in consultation with the school physician shall determine whether the student appears to have unaddressed health conditions such as the under circumstances, the refusal should be reported to the PA Department of Health and other other authorities. The thing is, when I read our policy, it seems like, you know, it just pretty much overrides rather than being reported and then taken off.
What you just read was Hamburg,
That was what I just read was Hamburg.
and that was approved recently,
Yeah.
like within the last couple months.
It was updated May 24th, 2021. That's it. It
So
was in
during-
2015,
it's during
updated to
COVID anyway.
21. Sorry, I thought that was an immunization.
And our policy says. What paragraph are you referring to on this?
In our policy says, students, parents, guardians, religious beliefs shall be examined only when the Secretary of Health determines that the fact exists indicating that certain conditions will be present.
You're on page, what page?
That's,
On 209, you said?
2091. Page
Yes.
what? 30.
209.
209,
One is
and
food allergy.
it's under guidelines, it's about 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraph down.
Are you 2091?
No, 2091 is food allergies.
Yeah, no, it's 209,
Just 209.
just 209.
Health examination screening. Yeah. I don't see guidelines.
So,
Here it
yeah,
is,
there's
guidelines.
additional
Each
couple
student shall receive
paragraphs
it.
that the other school does
It's
not.
on page 26.
Probably because I didn't pay attention to the PNN.
Yeah, I just got a
A
question.
student who presents a statement signed by a parent that a health examination is contrary to.
So basically what that's telling you is if you, Mr. Carroll, I'll just use you as an example. So your son comes into the middle school and he needs the 7th grade dental exam, which is required by the Department of Health. And he comes in and the school nurse looks at his teeth and says his teeth are all rotted out. And you're saying, I don't want to get his dentist because I don't believe his dentist. He needs to go to the dentist because I don't believe in the dentist. She looks at his teeth. Teeth is all rotted out. He's complaining about his teeth hurting. You're saying, I don't want him to go to the dentist. We're saying he needs to go to the dentist. She consults with our school dentist who says, based on what you're describing to me, he needs to go to the dentist. You're saying he doesn't need to go to the dentist. She has a medical responsibility to call the Department of Health and say, we have a student who needs to go to the dentist. She's done her job. Now it's up to the Department of Health to contact you about going to the dentist.
Because this,
The negligence and.
That's the
Exactly.
next
We can't
paragraph.
respond.
That's 2 paragraphs down.
That's
Okay.
the one that talks about the parent or guardian objects to refuse or obtain
all right,
their
so
special
where are
health
you
dental
at,
examination.
Maria?
That's the one that's in bold.
Yeah, there's actually 2 ones that are bold and they're actually identical to the other school district too.
You said that you were 6
The-
down.
Yes, and after that, if you continue reading the bold statement, in the event the parent, a guardian objects to regular special health dental examination or refuses to permit the child to be examined and arrange the nurse, whatever, that's, refusal should be reported to the Department of Health and other authorities. That's paragraph 8. So this is paragraph 6. The one that I'm questioning is paragraph 6 because it just says,
What I just described was the one that starts in the event that a parent or guardian objects to the or refuses to obtain a regular special health or dental examination.
yeah, that's the one you just said.
Right.
And this is, I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with the one that before, health examination contrary of students. It doesn't, it's just why a secretary of health
A
determines.
student who presents
Yes,
a statement signed by the parent guardian that a health examination is contrary to the student or parent's guardian's religious belief.
so that's this, and then we have 2 paragraphs down. Is that redundant or?
Doesn't have to be. Immunization.
I was in immunization, but then,
I guess, what do you object to? What do you think shouldn't be there?
no, I was just concerned at which point, like, I understand when it says well-being of the child. So definitely needs to be properly reported. So my concern under the view of what we just went through and, having mandates that were constitutional mandates and, forcing vaccinations on them.
That doesn't have anything to do with this.
So is that going to be falling under this umbrella or not?
No, what the statement that this means, that a student that represents a statement signed by the parent guardian that held examines contrary to the student's parent or guardian's religious beliefs means that if a parent does not want to have their child immunized, say they don't believe in measles
No,
vaccine.
I do understand. You already explained that. And I don't have any problems with that. This is not how I read it.
So there's no question now?
No.
Okay. Next question.
All right, what are you looking on your computer? Are you on the school's website on your computer?
I was pages of that, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, you found where we were all at the same
Yes.
place at the
Yes,
very
I just
end
have to
there.
tap
I'm
on
just
the
making
several
sure.
screens and tabs. Okay.
Any other questions on the 200? Dr. Crockett, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
The other question that I need you to answer tonight is in the 903 policy, which is the one where there was discussion but no resolution. As to,
Who can speak? It's about who can speak on
Yes.
camera.
Who can speak at a board meeting, public comment? And who do you not want to speak?
That's in here, right?
Yes. I guess my first question to you is, you had originally had 30 minutes and 5 minutes a person, and then it was requested that we go to 45 minutes at 3 minutes a person. Is the board in agreement that that's the change you want to make? The easier of the discussions?
Do you have that on information? 903, I thought you did.
Yeah, it's with the policies. It was in the last section.
Should we keep 3 minutes and do 3 and 30?
It's only 10 people. Some nights you have,
Push
like,
my own now.
which is whatever you decide. When you have 15 people, then you're gonna have to stop it.
Well, I'm being told I gotta adhere to whatever we have decided
It's
to.
gotta be reasonable with the Sunshine Act, so, I mean, if we're
Right.
cutting that down, there's potential of having.
I'm just referring to a year ago when we got the former board got blasted repeatedly for not allowing people to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we did 45 minutes,
No,
because that
45
was a big point of contention, so addressing to the public.
I have
I
no
think
problem with 45 and 5.
45
Yeah.
is reasonable.
Personally.
45 and 5.
Usually you should be able to say something, whatever you need to say in 3 minutes.
Is there
3
anything that
minutes
we
is
could
pretty-
put in there
So then you can have,
to be determined by the amount of people that
volume.
want to speak? That it would be up to the
Gets too
board
big.
president?
I got
No?
trouble for that. I mean, that's kind of what the game I played a
It's
little
too
bit.
Yeah, I know.
And that's.
That's
we're getting
too
a lot of bad
unclear.
feedback.
yeah,
Okay.
It becomes subjective because we got accused, if you remember, the former board got accused of being too subjective on which side was speaking. Whether it was the pro-masters or the anti-masters. I think if I remember correctly, then one night we went too long on one side or the other, and then we got accused of leaning one way or the other and being too Democratic versus Republican and all that other political crap. So by keeping it very confined to the timeline and objective, and this is the way it is, that puts the future boards this is the way it is. It doesn't matter who people are, they sign up, this is the word which you sign up, and if whoever comes early and signs up early.
Yeah,
that's
I
okay.
understand that. I was just thinking for, whether the 30 or the 45 minutes,
Yeah,
being
to me,
determined.
I'd rather have 40, in my opinion, I'd rather have 45 minutes
I
and
think
only
the
use 30
45
of it.
minutes is more.
Or have
logical
45
if you're gonna
minutes
do
and
it
then,
that
and
way.
everybody has a chance to speak and say what they want to say, and they
Right.
can only speak once. They can't come back up and try to speak again if there's extra time.
Yeah.
Right.
You have your 3 minutes and you say what you need to speak. Just because there's extra time doesn't mean I get to come up and speak
And you
again.
can't transfer your
You
time to
can't
somebody
transfer your
else.
time again.
well, if we do
Right.
3 and 45, that's,
I think 3 minutes is reasonable.
yeah.
3 and 45.
3 and 45.
Believe me, if you're sitting in Dave's chair, it makes life a whole lot easier to have a hard set of rules that we follow, period, end of story.
Yeah.
So we all buy into that. and
I'll be better.
And first come, first serve, it should be in person.
Well, that I guess is
That's,
for the next
you
question.
can address that here as well.
Well, I was breaking it down into segments so that we can make decisions as we go
Okay,
instead of,
Don't rush it.
otherwise we'll get
Then,
off on.
well, then it will allow people that were invested to come in, register, come in early, put their names in. If they know the rules, then they can, they know where they stand and how to properly.
Actually, I don't have a problem with that. I'm just wondering, is there, trying to think of a gotcha there, like it's just somebody who physically can't make it here for some reason, but wants to adjust the board. How do we?
No, you don't want
accommodate
somebody
that?
walking at 2:00 here. We don't want somebody
You're
coming
gonna
in
be
because the first come,
line
first served
campaign.
deal,
Yeah.
we're gonna camp out in the hallway now during school day. So, at 6:45, the doors open and you can come in
Right,
and
right.
sign in, but you know how people are. This is a ball game. They're gonna be coming. Now, if you say first come, first serve,
Okay,
6:45, the door opens
Right.
for the meeting. You may sign in.
And just before the meeting, the cards are collected. And you
That's
take
it.
it from there.
And how does the verification process work
Whereas,
on the cards? That we can prove that that person is either a taxpayer's
They'll state their name and address.
Okay.
Like,
I'm just, I mean, is that how it's
There's no
always
way to
been?
vet them.
I mean, the card itself, usually, I know we ask them to state their name and their address, but usually the card they fill out says their name,
Okay,
township, that
I
kind
mean,
of
I
thing. So
kind of
a lot of times I have that information in front of me anyway, but
it's not been too much of an issue,
No,
I
it
don't
hasn't.
think.
And just for clarity, it's not the address, it's what township.
Just township.
you're in. Very general.
So nobody is to pre-register to speak anymore because that has been.
Well, that was only gonna come up, for people who are gonna speak online, right?
Yeah, I don't like that pre-registration stuff.
Pre-registration's always been.
There's the door at 6:45.
That just takes time of your day.
So I have a
Taking phone
caveat
calls
to
and
that,
listening
That's
to lists.
ridiculous.
but I'll save it for the next question.
No, I mean, it's ridiculous.
No, I know,
that-
I know,
You know,
I
it's
understand
just,
what you're saying.
it gets to the point. She has so much to do. She doesn't have to worry about picking up the phone 12 times. And then it's not just, I'd like to speak to them. It's like, well, I have 14 more issues for you while you're on the phone. So it's not, at 6:45, the door opens, you come in, you can get your little card.
She wears enough hats. She doesn't even know
She's
that.
got a lot of hats. That, I mean, as simple as we can keep it.
And I'd like to request that I be allowed to number the cards from now on. That way whoever picks the cards up, they're in the number order. So there isn't, well, like Mr. Keller.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
I'm all
That's
for
an
it.
easy solution to the.
Because then they complain
Then
about.
there's nobody can accuse anybody of shuffling the deck, right?
Right. I mean, seriously, well, but they have.
I resemble that anymore.
Or some people, if you want to be, oh, and talk after this person.
No, I
or this
understand.
person, and
Yeah,
I mean, I've always
you
done
just-
my best just as they were
We try
presenting,
to.
as they,
Right.
right, you have
We try.
laying on a pile and that's what number you pick
pretty
up.
much.
And
pretty
that's
much
how
what
we're gonna go.
Okay, so there have been times when you aren't here yet and someone will hand me a card. What do I do?
But it'll now have a number on it.
Okay, it will have a number
Yeah,
on it.
I'm gonna put a number
I'll
on
just
the
put it
card and they just
there.
put it on the pile.
Got it.
So that way it doesn't matter whether you got the card first, or Mr. Heckman got a card, or somebody laid a
Okay.
card up here. That number, they take 20 cards and number them 1 through 20, and
And if they
then
pick the bottom card, they're the
they
last
pick the
speaker.
bottom card.
Okay,
Whatever card number they pick is the one that where they go.
Got
And then I'll just.
No, I like that. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, free number is even better.
So if they want to go last, then they pick whatever the last card number is.
Usually I put numbers on them and hand them back. to
I
people,
would-
so
Yeah,
should
you
we keep
do.
them or not?
Yeah, I do keep them. Okay, now here's your big point of discussion. Is who gets to speak? Right now, it's basically what was on discussion is the people who can speak are residents, taxpayers of the district, anyone representing a group in the community or school district, representing a firm eligible to bid on materials or services solicited by the board, any district employee or district student. And then the two that have come up that were parents of current students and alumni. And the other one that was the group in the community was the other one, because what constitutes a group? That's the one you need to come to consensus.
I'll change my stance, residents of the community.
Yeah.
It's just clean, it's cleaner. Not that I don't love our alumni, but it makes it so clean. This group, and I understand why we did it in the past. You know, with Popeye and all these other groups and, you know, residents of the community.
Yeah.
And that takes care of it. If the alumni wants to move back for that evening with their parents, that's beautiful.
I would add, I have absolutely no problem if you have a broken home. And a mother lives out of the district,
Right.
or a father
Parents,
lives out of the district.
Parents,
definitely parents.
A definite parent of a student that goes here, even though he or she may not live in the district or pay taxes, I would have no problem.
Child.
Exactly.
Parent,
Parent or guardian.
Yeah.
That's the only additional, I would. Yeah, no alarm.
Legal guardian.
legal guardian.
Parent.
or-
Alumni
yeah,
if they
legal
live in
guardian
the
is good.
district. Correct? Alumni if they're living in the district.
Well,
Well,
anybody.
if they're residents, at
Okay.
this point, so they're.
Right.
Residents of school.
Which means if they're an alumni and they're away at college, their still home address is still here, so they should.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, it is.
Because that.
Yeah, if they have legal residence here.
I guess where I have a
I would
problem
agree with
is somebody's been out of the district for 10 years. You know, what they have to say might be pertinent, but the district has changed in 10 years.
Right.
And I mean, but if somebody who just graduated last year, 2, 3 years ago, they kind of know what's been happening. It hasn't changed that much. Farther you get away, the more it's changed.
But how do we put a limit on that then?
If they're.
Well, we don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, if they're, if
Yeah, the
they're,
question
They have a
has to be
legal
asked.
address here, then
I
they
mean,
do.
our
Then they're
president has to ask the
resident.
question.
Yeah, he's gonna have.
If they're Skyping in from, Zooming in from
Well-
California,
First, if we're gonna limit it,
well,
right?
you
Some of
still
them
may
make
have
sense.
people, you still have time left and there's people that are out there. That's your next part coming up.
Oh, you're thinking we were all Zoom. They had to do it in person only?
No, he was thinking.
Well, I thought we
if
were heading down that road, and I
Oh,
have
well.
to admit, I kind of favor that. To a
I
point.
would
Well, that's the
agree.
next, I guess, the next segment.
That's
we're going
another-
to.
No, in person, that's why we have.
Well, we didn't get there yet.
So we're gonna eliminate alumni, just residents and legal
Residents.
guardians or parents,
It's fine.
right? That was the
That's good
decision
enough.
you were making.
Right, so you're eliminating alumni,
Yeah.
so it's parents, legal guardians,
Residents and legal
taxpayers you don't
guardians.
need. No community groups,
Taxpayers you don't need.
taxpayers you don't need. You don't really need any representative of a firm
If you're a
or
resident, you're
your
a
taxpayer.
taxpayer,
Hope so.
but you could be a taxpayer, it doesn't
You
necessarily.
can be a
like people-
taxpayer
I
and
see what you're
live
saying.
somewhere else.
I had to think it through myself there. but
Okay,
I see what
you
because I was like, wait a minute.
gotta use the legal, right, I got you.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
But I mean, are we shorting somebody there? If somebody owns a home in Oley but doesn't live in it, so, I mean, do we owe them the right to speak?
They can move in that day.
Well, the problem is then if they don't live here and they live in Florida and they have property
don't-
here, what do they really know
they
about
don't
what's
know
really
anything.
going on
Oh, I
here?
got you. I'm
That's what's on Facebook.
But
Well-
they're paying the taxes.
Residents,
That's why I'm throwing
And
it
the
out there.
school board decision is gonna.
residents and the schools.
Resident
That's-
school district, I mean,
We
Yeah,
can
because
always
here-
change it.
because
We
here
can
would
always
be a-
change it a year from
There
now
would
or
be a
next
good one
month.
to that. My
Yeah, no
dad is the power of attorney and, all that for my grandmother, who owns the house in Oley. So now he'd be allowed, to, if you keep,
If you keep the taxpayer part, right?
yeah, you gotta. I mean, you gotta make it, you gotta, make it.
It needs to be the honest to God stakeholder, which is
Yeah.
parents and
Parents and
residents.
residents.
people know
Keep
what
it-
really is
keep it-
going on. and
Right,
not
people who are
what's on
affected
Facebook.
by our decisions.
I shoot arrows at it.
Never. Residents and legal guardians.
Any representative of firm eligible to bid on materials or services solicited by the board, why would they come to public comment?
Shouldn't be, well, we've had them in the past.
We've had them.
We have.
We definitely
To
have had them.
promote, to
Isn't there something?
stand there and say, if you have any questions for me,
I think so.
We have to allow, we say,
Code, the school code may drive that.
Any district employee or any district student?
student for sure. I can't see why an employee would be able to address an issue to the board.
Well, the student, wouldn't that be resident too?
You would
Yeah,
hope
but
so.
that's a chain of command issue. Would it not?
residents and legal guardians. Telling you.
But then I guess you could say the same thing for a
Yeah,
student.
but the taxpayers are,
Well,
like,
yeah.
if you own the business and you still pay taxes and the taxes go up, that hits your pocket, right?
Yeah,
You have a vested interest.
that was my point earlier. I mean, so,
I would extend it to the taxpayers too.
but then.
Taxpayers within the district.
Well, yeah,
But then, yeah, we're kind of, we're in a can of worms, just
I know.
like she said, somebody lives in Florida but owns 3 houses in Oley, now they have an opportunity to speak.
You're right.
Because really, all they're gonna do is complain about the taxes, really. I mean, think, what else would they
You're
say?
probably right.
No.
yes,
As
but.
long as it
there's
doesn't go
like-
against any
It's
policy
the
or
money they
sunshine.
pay too, right?
I see
Yeah,
both sides of it, that's me, this is what we have to decide on.
It doesn't go against the Sunshine Act or anything that's not done. That's up to us.
It's up to you. This is all up to you.
Okay.
Yep. I cleared that with
I
council.
think we're good.
We just have to, I mean,
Keep it
we're
simple.
obligated to allow public comment, I guess there's some rules.
You have to allow public comment, but you control who.
We just
Who, when,
expanded
how?
the sunshine by 15 minutes. And that's a big step,
Is a big step.
okay?
Yeah, I'll go back to groups. In the past, groups like the Reading Motorcycle Club have presented to the board, had questions to the board, those sort of things.
They can email the questions.
The president may be in Boyertown or
Tip up
somewhere
town,
else.
right.
And also church groups.
Well, and a lot of those
Mhm.
questions came around to different property and transportation questions. So they'd be welcome to call Dr. Shank and come to the committee meeting. That's where a lot of that took place. Popeye dinner could come to the committee meeting.
Mhm,
Yeah, that way we can
You can actually
discuss
discuss
things
stuff.
and you can actually talk.
mhm.
rather than having the newspaper and everybody else and have everything recorded and everything's in the paper the next day about the size of the puff pie. So, I think if you keep it, because we can always down the road, we can always through Dr. Fack and expand it, talk about it again.
So that's what you would do. If somebody would call you the question on, say, pot pie then. If they call, she could say, hey, come to the.
Oh, or she can
such
answer
and
the
such
question.
night, Or she can answer
Yeah,
the question. or
Absolutely.
You have more you'd like to present.
Sure,
to
come
the
on
board.
over.
Okay,
Come to this meeting.
Come to this meeting.
There's nobody here.
We love people at this meeting.
Yeah.
We had an officer out there. He's out there.
Oh,
Because what people don't realize at board meetings is you're not to respond. Committee meetings is a dialogue.
yeah.
So if they want to learn and grow and exchange, they come to committee meetings. If you come to a board meeting, it's really a show and tell meeting. And that's what people don't understand when they get so mad at us in the past, is because they come to board meeting and wonder why we don't sit there and deliberate and talk to everybody. All the work is done in committee. Behind the scenes, it's not done at a board meeting.
We should try not to.
Again, I'm just looking for stock answers. Running motorcycle club comes ever, we have a stock answer. Everybody would get that same answer. That's good. Standardize it that way. Good.
So then your last question is, are you going to allow people on Zoom or not? That you have a right to say no, you have to make them in public, or you can, unless there is an ADA, a valid ADA accommodation, which you can use that as your Zoom answer, which is legal and vettable, that they would ask for, like I have in the caveat on the postings, that if you need an ADA accommodation, you contact the office of the superintendent to make arrangements. So if I'm not able to come because I, have an injury or a medical situation, that's legit, not just because I don't have daycare and cannot come, but I have a question, then that is vetted, and that's why I would be on Zoom, and I would be pre-registered for that purpose. So it would be known, that would be your out, and that would be in policy. Otherwise, without a valid ADA accommodation request, and there's a form for that they have to fill out, then you have to be in person. Or you can just let it go. I mean, it's your choice.
No, I like the idea of making them come in. I think if we discussed that the other week, I think that was kind of the way it's leaning in that direction.
So the hoop you just had to jump through is still okay, what you just described.
Definitely got it. We have to have that.
Right.
There is a Zoom. Yeah, Zoom can be used. I mean, you can
But you
say
have to
nothing.
jump through the hoop. You
You
just-
Jump through the hoop.
Okay,
Yeah,
I just needed to make, okay.
that works. Because we did add 15 minutes.
Like what you
The
said.
reason we added the extra 15 minutes
I
was
wasn't gonna
because
repeat.
we get more
No, it's
people
good.
here that we want to meet.
Okay.
So that's why we added the 15 minutes. So we'd rather meet you
Yeah, we
in
were
person.
encouraging them to come.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody had an accident, they have a legitimate, I can.
Well, it's easy to be a lot more bold up there than it is right
It's
there.
easy to hide behind.
Or you don't even know that.
We don't know who it
person
is
that's up there
either.
is
We
really
don't know who it is.
Exactly.
Well, not only that, but I wouldn't want to get rid of Zoom either, because, I mean, for us, if I'm ill at home,
Mhm.
but I can still maybe Zoom,
Right.
and I can still be here to do the meeting, so, I think that's.
No, I think we're not gonna eliminate Zoom.
Yeah.
No, no.
And we're still gonna record the meetings. It's just that if you wanted to speak.
Okay.
We're gonna still upset somebody with this.
Right.
It always happens.
Never makes
Somebody's
sense.
not gonna like this. So are we voting on this next meeting, or this is the second reading?
This is second reading, and I'll make the changes and get them out to you for the 20th.
So we're voting on it
Just so
twice.
we can see, yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's a silly question, but we probably not even be there yet, but with PSBA redoing all these policies, is this one eventually gonna be revisited by them in the coming months? This public participation?
Yeah, this one, well, now that we're behind schedule, probably the whole 900 section will be done in June. And then these changes, they will incorporate into their,
I'm just curious if there's anything coming in at that time that's gonna fill.
into this, no.
Okay,
No, I already cleared that.
gotcha.
And then, so Zoom is view only, documented ADA. And then the only caveat to that legally is that if you ever have, of course, if you ever have, as if there's only ever a full electronic meeting for whatever reason, say it's, a blizzard of whatever, 2023, then doing public comment has to be
Right.
on Zoom. you have a full electronic meeting. That falls under your 000 policy section.
Have you ever had to do that?
Just for
During
COVID.
During COVID.
When the whole place was shut down.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm sure there's some circumstance we're not thinking of, but I can't imagine that happening again.
No, because we usually, if schools close, we cancel all our
Right.
meetings. We don't have virtual meetings. The schools close.
Oh, okay.
We just cancel them over. We don't have anything when
In
schools.
case it
close.
has to be another pandemic or something along those lines. Let's just hope that doesn't happen again.
Dr. Farage already said. There's another one.
Well,
Yeah, within 10 years, there'll be another major. They've already told us.
I won't be on the board then, so.
It'd be worse than this one.
Come on, the 2B variant. We're gonna get to Z and quit on it. We're gonna keep
I
on
think we'll be
going.
a little more.
Anything else you want?
I know, we shall
putting-
it has more letters.
Um,
300, there's number 2 is the elimination, archiving, moving, whatever you want to call it, of the 310, 315, 348. 310 was moved to 311. That's why that one was kind of gotten rid of. 315 is highly illegal. That's why that one's getting rid of. It violates all kinds of ADA laws. And 348 was moved to 104. Questions on those?
I think we skipped the 1.1.1.
I did those with the 200. Do you have
Did
questions
you have a
on that
question?
one?
Yeah, I do. I'm just a bit confused of the policy itself, so if you could elaborate the purpose for that and
As I
what we're
explained,
trying to achieve in this policy.
as I explained at the last meeting, when these were tabled the last time, 0110 was missed when the 100s were done. This policy outlines the procedures for the 011 policy on board ethics and responsibilities, and it gives the board president I forget what word Mr. Heckman just used, the guidelines or the structure for the board president or vice president if they're running the meeting. When a board member decides to not operate within the ethics code that's governed by the National School Boards Association or the Pennsylvania School Boards Association, as far as what actions or regulations that are necessary for operating, and the steps that are taken if a board member acts out of the parameters of the board as a board member, and then what happens for censuring, forfeiting the floor, calling to order under Robert's Rules of Order.
Is that good? Everybody good with that?
Fun.
We good there? Question 3, take it away.
300 section is the personnel section, and this governs all the employees, support, professional and administrative. These are on for first reading, and we'll take questions.
The question, just to understand the process. This had to do with evaluation of employees. There's a board approved and board approved, and I guess state board approved or something along those lines. There's a form for that.
Mhm.
We have that, or is that something I'd like to look at, or I'm curious, and just kind of.
Sure. There are, we have all the rubrics for support staff that we use. Mr. Heckman would have my evaluation tool that was constructed through PSBA. It's kind of been in flux the last 2 years, and I think we finally got that down. And then,
That's an annual review. for
Yeah.
professionals.
and I can send you, we can send you out the support staff ones. The Act 13, which is the administrator evaluation tool, was just was redone by the Pennsylvania Department of Ed. That's the ones that we use for support staff and for teachers, and I can send you out those rubrics as well. We do not use a differentiated supervision tool here in this district, primarily because what had happened in the past was a lot of our marginal or what we call marginally onset people would slide through the cracks. Because it was, you could read a book and write a paper and you'll be, satisfactory and really never apply it to your instruction. So working closely with OVA over the last, 10 years or so, we do a lot of walkthroughs, which are, walk in cold, evaluate the classroom, and then our formal evaluations and follow the State Department's process for that. And it's basically on a rubric-based evaluation system. And I can send that out to everybody. Hopefully by June, Dr. Rohr is actually kind of our administrative leader on that. I've delegated a lot of that to him. He just trained the rest of the administrators on the new formats. And I can have him do, once you get through all the next 3 months of work, next 3 board meetings are kind of the biggest until we get to August. And to have him kind of do an update especially for those of you that are new, as to what that looks like and how we go through that process. Because I'm looking at Dr. Markley, because I know he did those too. Pretty intensive evaluation processes of meeting with the person, and then they go through the process, and then the whole self-reflection and the conversations and the depth of going off to the growth model, and what that looks like on the domains and the basic, below basic, needs improvement, satisfactory, and then on the process. So we use the state model. We don't do our own, just because it is a lot of work, but it's also, we find there's always a way to beat the system. And by using the state, it keeps everybody on the same playing field. But it really has helped us to up the expectations for classrooms consistently. And working with OVA on that process, they like the fact that nobody can play the system. Everybody's held to the same standard, and we can, with them, collaboratively been able to push that standard up on holding everybody to the same standard. Because the worst thing is, as a professional, and I'm, even looking at Mrs. Jackson as a teacher as well, is when you're working really hard and the person across the hall is not. As much as they will defend each other, they know who's not pulling their weight. And it's frustrating for teachers to know that when somebody's working hard and who's not, and who's hurt in the profession, as much as they know that they're friends and they care about them, they also know that they shouldn't be in the classroom. So, but we can put something together, maybe for the June meeting.
Basic understanding, this isn't out of my realm.
Yeah.
You guys, a lot of you guys work in the school system, and
It's an interesting thing when you get to see it, especially the new system, because the hardest part for us as administrators in the new system is it's one of the hardest way to dismiss a teacher, because it's almost difficult to get anybody on the instructional side of it, because it's a growth model. It's not an evaluative model. So they took something that was meant to build teacher growth and then used it for an evaluation tool. So, but we can do in June, at the June curriculum meeting, when we got rest of the stuff we have to do between now and then, to the end of May, together. I'll have him put together something and explain between him and Gina and have him explain it to you. Sure.
Question on 3041, pre-employment drug testing. I'm surprised to see alcohol on the list. Is there a level, like if somebody's socially drinking the night before and goes for the test?
Socially drinking?
Declare that.
That's-
They would be, the only way they'd be in trouble if they were drunk when they walked in.
Right.
To take the test, and that would be a problem.
Yeah, well, yeah, to the test. When do they get the test to go take it? Like, when do you? So I've been hired,
You were offered the position?
Mhm.
I've been offered the position, and then you give me the paperwork to go get the test
You have to get it within 24 hours.
in 24 hours.
They must get it before board approval. And you can't drag their feet.
That's fine. I know somebody who was concerned about that, and I wanted to know the policies. They were concerned that they were socially drinking the night before, and then they went to that. Would that be in there? It has to be at a certain level.
Yeah, it won't show if they're socially drinking. If they're not socially drinking, we've had them flat.
They'd have to be still drunk.
They'd
I
have
don't
to be
want to
still
talk to teacher. I
intoxicated.
just want to understand the process. because
They probably couldn't make,
I mean,
probably wouldn't make the
Yeah.
appointment.
I'm curious, you're right, what's the level they're looking for, but it would be like the
You would still have to
drunk
be.
driving level kind of?
No, it will flag it. You actually flag anything that's left in your system,
Right.
but you'd have to be like,
So
like if you
it's
have
not
any,
gonna show up. Yeah.
the night before, it's not, but if you have anything, like if you really tied one on the night before and it's still in your
You were
system in the morning.
celebrating that you got the job.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're thinking of like,
Whoops,
you're thinking
that's
of
part
like.
of the conversation, when the call's made.
You're
Yeah,
thinking
yeah,
of like the
I-
breathalyzer that reads totally
Yeah,
different.
this person was
You're talking
concerned
about
just,
blood level.
yeah, this
Yeah.
person was just concerned about that they keep a glass of wine, you know, with that side.
Unless it's a really, really big glass of wine.
Yeah. Wine with
Correct.
with a side of moonshine.
Monday night wines.
Other 300s.
That's not good. That's good.
So you, Dr. Murphy?
Curriculum, Dr. Shank.
The following, Spanish 2, Ag Engineering, Power Tech, and Animal and Plant Biotech have all completed their 30-day public review.
Any questions on those three? Okay.
Number 2, these were requested to go on 30-day public review. Ag Business, Medical Interventions, Ag Exploratory Ag, which is 8th grade, Ag Alg 1 CP, Alg 1 Academic, Plant Science, Horticulture, or Space Science, STEM 6, 7, 8, and AP Environmental.
Are any of them new?
Spaces. That,
And this is the aerospace science book, it's the science book?
yes.
I'll take a look at this and I'll pass it to my committee.
Technology they have for using that.
Yes.
That night.
Yes, that night, that table goes with that course. It's
So-
one of the courses it goes with.
So is it safe to say, since that was the only new one, rest of them all are just same as one that was approved a year ago or 2 years
Yeah,
ago?
they're all updated. Yeah, they're all
They're updated
Yeah.
slightly, but they're basically,
basically the same.
Right.
Yeah, we're just realigning with to make sure they're congruent and updating.
Yeah, my only concern was about this, the one that expressed the medical intervention, because it says textbooks besides online course access. Can the parents access that course online just to review what is taught?
It's
Or how does it, how do parents have a chance to review curriculum without reviewing the actual materials that being taught? And here in the curriculum, it says just besides online course access. That's a little bit confusing. So how do parents actually have a chance to review it properly?
Students that take the course are given access to that course in the fall when they're in the syllabus, and the access to that course materials are granted to those students in the syllabus.
Yes, but if we put it on 30-day review, then, it's a public review. Shouldn't the public have their access to the materials being taught, especially parents?
No, it's copyrighted. It's a Project Lead the Way course that's copyrighted from the national level, the same way that AP courses are.
So then how do parents review what the school
What's on
has
the-
taught to their
What's
children?
online, the syllabus, the general course description?
What's online is the Project Lead the Way curriculum.
Curriculum.
Lists all the activities and the curriculum pieces, which is right out of the Project Lead
Of
the Way.
course, selection would have a description of it.
Right.
And I would say the parents, in past history, a parent that wanted that, I would actually get it for them. And they would come in and actually pick it up and I'd put it in an envelope. I would run
Course description or the,
a course description. I would also put them in contact with the teacher.
Now it's online.
Now it's online, but some people still can't get it online.
Yeah, curriculum's all on.
Yeah, but some don't want to do that. That's,
Yeah, if
that's
there's
like a
somebody
do
who
for
needs
you.
it.
Yeah,
If somebody needs to
sure.
print it off for them, we
Yeah.
can print it off for them. No problem.
Okay. Okay.
Three is the settlement release agreement that we talked about for a high school student. That's just to ratify that so I can finish what I need to do there. Number four is the textbook Dr. Markley had spoke about, our science, geology, the environment, and uniforms, the base course for the first space science STEM Academy. Number five is BCIU Student Services Agreement for Special Education, EI, kindergarten eligible student services and accompanying rates for 22-23. Six is the BCIU Information Services, Technology Services, Product Service Rates for 22-23. Seven is BCIU Early Intervention Classroom Release Agreement for next year for the elementary. 28 is the 22-23 GHR agreement for substitute student services staffing. Mostly we use the nursing staffing as needed. We only pay for as needed for that one. Number 9 is the independent contract agreement with Billings, again, for the Spanish document translations for IEPs and reevaluations as we need them. And that did go up a little bit for 22-23.
I'm surprised it didn't go up higher
Me too.
because of the situation.
They say it's always just that you just have English, Spanish only.
Yeah,
Right.
they only transport into Spanish. We have other document translations we use for other languages.
Any other questions for curriculum? Good. P&T?
Number 1 is to ratify or approve the joint purchasing contracts for phys ed equipment through the BCIU Joint Purchasing Board for 22-23. 2 is the 3-year agreement with Optic and Controls for the temperature control technical support for all 3 schools for 22 through 25. Number 3 is the agreement with Suburban Testing Labs for potable water testing, 22-23. That is not only lead, but it is also hard water and copper. The lead is required by the state every year, and we do have to report that to L&I. Number 4 is LRM for pump calibration systems for the middle school. We have to do those every year. Number 5 is an agreement with Singer. We have to replace both high school serving lines have failed. Cost is not to exceed 150 is your max. It comes from the capital reserve account. Neither line will continue to hold temperature. It is not passing, should be not passing inspection. We did get them through the audit with the understanding that we will work on those. They're not holding temperature. They are basically not even getting through the cleanliness piece of it. They are very old. They were in the reserve. We weren't expecting both of them to fail at the same time. Lead time on those are anywhere from 4 to 6 months. We are negotiating with Singer, who is the broker, if you're familiar with cafeteria equipment. Say contract with under them to get them, and what we are doing is getting them in portable units so that we'll be able to move them around to kind of maximize the space and what we're doing in those. But they are not keeping food hot or cold if you're on the milk side of the line. You can't change the way the serving lines are without really spending a serious amount of money to redo that kitchen. But it will also save on electric. They will also be more energy efficient, so you'll see some cost savings there. But in order to move on this, to have any chance of getting them in early September, I do need a cost not to exceed approval in order to start to turn this. So as soon as we can get pricing, we've got to be able to pull the POs on it as soon as possible. Otherwise, we're going to be dead in the water to start school.
Did they have any, do you know what brand, what type?
There's a couple of brands we're looking at. We're trying to negotiate prices, but I can't get anybody to lock anything in until I have a cost not to exceed approval. I don't think I'll hit the 150. I think I can negotiate lower, but I have to be able to pull the POs to lock the prices in order to get the numbers out. The supply chain is a mess, which is why they're looking at 4 to 6 months. And we're shooting for, hopefully we can run 2 lines to get, to shut a line down and get them in to get for the kids. But we're going back to more scratch cooking in the fall. The fact that we can't keep the food warm on the line at the high school now in order just to even get it served for the 15 minutes it takes us to serve lunches is driving everybody nuts. So I've lost 3 ovens at the high school, now lost the 2 serving lines, lost the freezer at the middle school, lost the merchandiser at the middle school. Or for Mr. Reber, we've lost a lot of the elementary equipment. That don't let that man retire anytime soon. But it's the age of the equipment, you know, we knew it was gonna happen, it's just happening a lot faster. And then the cafeteria fund will pay back the capital reserve fund, that's how it works. Fund 51 pays back Fund 32.
Move on as fast as you can.
Dr. Shank, so this is just basically to approve the cap while still price shopping? Is that what it is?
Well,
approve-
replacement,
Replace it
The
with,
replacement,
with the cap. Yeah.
yeah, this is just for the equipment. This is not for installation or anything else, correct?
This is everything.
That's everything, that's it.
Because in the
That's it.
contract, it does not say, like, the one that the link you sent over. It said also 50% paid in advance and 50% before the delivery. So at which point, and it looks like it's lists just equipment and it's not installation or anything like it.
This is everything, right?
So
It didn't state in that link, so.
Good point.
it's a good question to ask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as it's everything, yeah.
that's because that's
It's
not,
sort of a generic, quick, sort of
it's a
get it
budget
started.
number.
to get it started number.
The budget number, it's not an actual PO number. Cost not to exceed budget number. Because we won't even do cap reserve PO until I know exactly who I'm buying it from, and then the rest of it, I need a resolution that says I have authorization to spend capital reserve money not to exceed 150, because I don't have the authorization to spend anything from that account without a board with motion.
Yeah, that was the first question.
Number 6 is wind environmental, which is Klein's, which takes care of all your pumping, hauling, and disposing of waste from the grease traps and the sewage pit. And number 7 is van driver for 21-22.
Number 2, is there a cost for that, the 3-year agreement?
Yeah, it's on the PO. It's on the thing,
Yeah, it's under the.
listed on the thing.
It wasn't a lot, I don't.
No, it's not.
No, it's just not on the agenda, so like, everything else had numbers to that attached.
It's meeting information. Under meeting information. I think.
So that's where you go.
Don't forget what I asked you for that, the 20. Don't forget to bring that, what I asked you for the 20. Remember?
It's okay. She showed me what to look at.
Spinning
so
wheel of death,
good.
here we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was like what?
Yeah.
3820.
No, okay. All the questions it's already there. I'm like, thank you.
Was that for everybody or just for you?
What's that?
What you asked for?
Me.
Just you.
Me.
Oh,
Okay. It's all right. Move on.
3825. Per year,
Yeah, it's a.
3800.
We're good.
We're good.
We're good, let's go.
Yeah.
Jackson's good activity.
Yeah.
Their problem.
Now I know what to look at.
How much more? That's why I asked.
Oh,
You can just bring it for me.
no, it's like 3 to 3.5. Depending on performance.
I just want to see numbers.
From when they
No,
started.
just a.
Yeah. Well, you don't.
Dr. Shank,
Oh,
Student activities.
sure. Number 1 is spring volunteer coaches. Alan Kibbe is our high school, middle school track and field. And middle school softball is Chris Ozerito. Number 2 is spring game help as listed. And then to ratify the out-of-county field trips is high school music department, Katie Lynch and Madison Robb, who once again, congratulations to Maddie Robb, second year All-State Choir, which she performed on April 6th through 8th at the Convention Center as one of the second only student to make All-State Choir again, and she's just absolutely phenomenal. Young
Yes,
lady
she
doing
is.
Was she the,
the opera singer, I thought. Was
so the redhead?
yeah.
Okay.
How that voice come out of
Yeah.
the body.
My wife said the same thing. Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
She's amazing.
Mhm.
We were there Thursday.
Just wonderful.
No.
And then the last motion that you have for tonight is just to ratify BCIU's policies and procedures. It has to do with IDA and the ability to get the money on the pass-through money, which is special ed. Goes from the federal government to the IU, or the state, from the state to the IU, and the IU to us. In order to do that, you have to approve their policies and procedures. So you're ratifying the adoption of it. Yeah.
Are we, well, the only thing we kind of didn't, I'm not quite understanding that HR position. Are we going to be voting on having it, or are we still discussing whether or not we're going to go even that route?
I guess we're approving it.
We're moving on all, we were told to move on all the positions, so we're moving on all the positions.
Maybe I missed that. I don't think we were told to move on the HR person.
No, I don't think so.
We were told to move on those teaching positions.
That was my,
Definitely,
I thought we were moving
I
on
disagree.
everything except live.
That's okay.
We're moving on. all the positions.
Mike, as chair of the committee, I heard very clearly that at least we had the majority to move forward with that position to get it potentially incorporated in the budget.
Well, you just said majority. I'm in the minority now.
Well,
That's fine.
That's fine, but
Okay, I didn't know we actually took a vote on
Well, here is my concern. Shouldn't we actually hold off on that, even moving it with the new superintendent hire too? And how that person operates, whether or not they would prefer having an assistant versus a HR person? And also my other concern, it's more like appointing rather than interviewing a person for the position and finding if it's a proper fit. I understand the input and suggestion, but it's still not the, not the all-inclusive like interview process. So that's why, so the two things, I think it would be probably prudent to actually discuss it with the superintendent who's going to be taking the position, to see what they would prefer to have as an assistant.
well, that's well over a year out. And there's a lot of things that we talked before, the amount of things that are happening from an HR standpoint every day with the district need to have a lot more organization direction alike, and that does not really fit with the superintendent. In my mind, I thought I heard the majority talk about we need an HR position to handle those things. In fact, I'd even like to see it move earlier than beginning of July 1, but that's the best we can do. That's fine, but we need an HR position to handle all the HR things that are happening. Again, the superintendent should not be burdened with all that. Should be separate.
They shouldn't be, we just like, interview and see, all the slew of applicants.
Well, it's not just applicants. See, that's a small piece of the puzzle. There's all the regulatory issues that we really have to protect the district and to protect our employees. The regulatory side keeps growing and growing all the time. It's, I understand your concern about hiring and the like, and keeping track of all those things. That's a small piece of the puzzle. The regulatory side is what concerns me even more. All these policies we have, the policies are there in place, being followed, being audited, all those sort of things. It's a huge position for HR. Again, I think hiring is important, but that's a small piece of the puzzle from where I see it.
I think her concern is that the board has more of a role in hiring that person. Is that what you're, is that?
Well,
what
that's a
you're-
different,
Well,
that's
it's-
two separate.
In other words,
I
we would
two
have
things.
more of a.
Going
interviewing
forward,
sort of
What is the new
administrative role.
superintendent would prefer to have, HR person, superintendent assistant, because now we eliminate one position to change it to HR. So, and the second one is.
We don't have an assistant superintendent.
Is that what she is right now, as
No.
assistant to
No,
the
she's
superintendent?
She's
a
assistant
secretary.
to the
Secretary.
assistant.
Right.
This is moving
She's
secretary into a
assistant
director.
to
Where did I read this?
She's the assistant.
She's an executive assistant.
She's an executive
Secretary.
That's,
She's not
Yeah,
an
this-
assistant
this is what I-
superintendent.
The
Yes,
whole
this
budget
is-
was based, her position, as we talked for months, back as far as, I think you brought it up in February personnel,
yeah,
was
yeah,
budgeted on the fact that this person's position was $5,000 difference in budget to move her from a secretary position to an HR position where she is a certified HR person. The Society of HR and has taken the certification tests, and all of that stuff, to move her into that position, to assume the rest of the duties of HR off of my plate, not fill the secretary position. She will do both jobs next year until you hire the new superintendent, and the new superintendent will hire their own secretary. And then you will figure out whether that person's going to hire their own assistant superintendent, which my recommendation is you need to figure out how you're going to do that. And then do one and then figure out from there what you're going to do. But anyway, you do not have an assistant superintendent, but you need an HR person. And I understand that there may be people who don't happen to like this particular person, but she is quite capable. And the administrative team is very confident in her abilities to do the HR function, just as the business office is very capable or very confident in her ability to do the HR functions of this job and work with the business office in the areas of the personnel side that they work with that needs to get off of their plates, that needs to get onto this personnel side. One of which needs to be ADA compliant and legally accountable job descriptions, which this district has not had. And we need to have, because we're getting tripped up on them in some of our personnel areas. And the fact that in legally defensible hiring practices and onboarding and exit boarding and all of this other stuff that nobody has time to do, and I can't pick up any more than I already have. That's why this person is being recommended, because she is the highest. I mean, she is quite capable. She is my recommendation. She is, and if you want to hire an HR person, yes, except you're going to have to come up with another $115,000 in order to do so. So if you have somebody on staff that can do it, who can do it extremely well,
She has the education.
and she has the
And she
education,
has experience.
and she's already doing part of the job now. I just need to get her trained and get the title in order to do the rest of it. She has agreed to do 2 jobs for the price of 1, basically, for next year, and do this parts of the secretarial job that she does, which is very little for me because of the other stuff that she's doing, which is we're pulling off, give her time. If you get her into this position, then I can get her officially trained on the stuff she does not have the title to do or the authority to do, because she is not an administrator. So there are things with PD and reporting and signatures and stuff that she can't do. We've had this discussion. Sorry,
Correct.
I'll shut up.
No. Yeah.
And I guess, go ahead. No.
Well, I just was gonna say, it's not permanent we can reevaluate her. Or how does that, since she's an administrator?
You're gonna pretty much be in that position unless you do something previous. My question would be, you mentioned someone who doesn't like her. If you're referring to me, would
No,
take affront to that. Because I just think that's an off the cuff remark that I don't appreciate. I'm referring to an administrative position of $72,000 at 3% a year raises, plus another administrative position. And I've already asked for salaries for administrative for each position, because 3% every year, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I have no comment on the person. I would not comment on the individual. I'm commenting on the position.
Right, but our administrators are underpaid, just as if you look at our teacher salaries, as you will see when we start negotiations at the end of the month, our teachers are one of the most underpaid teachers in the county when you look at longevity. Our administrators are underpaid for what you're asking them to do. And I get this is a small district, but when you look at the comparability of what they are asked to do with a small team and the issues that we are facing. And I get that when you retired, you only made a certain amount of money.
No, so
7
that has
years ago.
nothing to do with this meeting.
I know, but I'm just telling you that you can, the fact that, yes, salaries are expensive. You're gonna have teachers, you have teachers over $100,000 a year. I have administrators who are making less than that, they're carrying more responsibilities, more accountability, deal with more conflict, more controversy, and have the same amount of education and experience making less money.
But they come to Oley knowing they're gonna make a little less money for a lot less hassle. But don't get me wrong,
Not necessarily.
well,
No, no.
I guess it depends on what the hassle is. But
And the amount of hassle
there
has
is a
changed.
point to, right, the
Hassle
whole
has
COVID
changed.
thing, I get it. I know, I was just gonna say that. I understand.
And even without hassle, the number of hassle has changed. Hassle aside. I mean, I almost had a parent arrested this morning for the way he was treating administrator. And the police officer was sitting
In
there.
person.
In person.
Wow.
I understand the money, but we are a board of directors involved in a business, the Oley Valley School District business. And our business is at risk every day because we don't have the unified policies, procedures, compliance follow through. It's nobody's fault, other than we haven't put the resources, in my mind, behind that whole HR position. From a compliance standpoint, that's my biggest concern. We need to really make sure we have full compliance in the hiring side, in the firing side, and all the other policies, compliance with the school code, with everything else, our own policies. But right now, we don't have that. And to me, that is a major risk, that I think we can fill the gap with the HR position.
I'd be honest with you, I find it hard to imagine we got along this long in an organization this big without an HR person.
We talked about it for years.
Doesn't mean an HR person.
Did you say they not getting exit interviews done?
We're not getting exit interviews. Our onboarding is terrible. We just found, I can just honestly.
Well, I mean, an exit interview to me is almost important. I mean, because why are you leaving? I
Correct.
mean, what have we done wrong? How can we fix?
Well, it's not even that.
I know, that's
We've been
just one
talking to
thing.
a retiree, what would you have
Yeah.
done differently? What would you, even some of our best people are leaving for the right reasons, like, what could you do better? What would you
Right.
tell us? How can we help the next generation? All of that stuff.
I didn't have an exit interview.
Me neither.
When I was here 40 years, I had a lot I could have said.
Yeah. No, but it's even the onboarding, like, we just found 2 employees the other day that never came out of our system. Of our SIS system. Like, if you don't get them out of your computer system, that's huge in today's world. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta get them out of Google, you gotta get them on board, you gotta get the passwords, you gotta get the security side alone. And just be able to get the paperwork done, or just,
That's IT job.
it's HR's job, it's not HR. I only have four IT people to run a district of 2,000 people, and everybody has
You see
devices.
those computers that they gotta deal with?
No,
Not that, I'm not,
probably
No,
not.
no,
that's not a dig against anybody.
No, I
mean,
know.
those things, my
I
kids
can
are
tell you
always.
definitely no better than NT.
But you are so light on administratively compared to what you should be. And that's been a choice over the years. But you have to start moving in that direction, or you're gonna have a problem. And if that's where you want to head, then that's your choice. I'm just telling you the way, I don't want to be somebody 2 years from now saying, well, nobody ever told us that we were gonna have this big of a problem. If you don't start layering it in now, you're gonna get stuck.
So quick question, sort of off. Did you say this at a previous meeting, or did my dad say it twice? He said they changed something with the retirees. Now they can work for you without, did you find out about that? In other words, you still have your teaching degree, right?
I think so.
They could be a sub and it would not affect your retirement.
Right,
Did you?
right.
Yeah, these are changed.
He said that to me last night again. You could be reaching out to retired teachers for subs. And it wouldn't affect their retirement.
Yeah, his Peters reached out.
It just,
Yeah.
okay, it just happened.
Yeah, they modified the law. because of
Right.
COVID, Yeah.
Well, they need such.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had to do something.
Some of the
Yeah,
So I
they
just-
finally changed the law to allow them to sub more than that. They could always sub up to 90 days a year.
Oh, okay.
After day 90, they couldn't sub anymore.
But now they can work a whole year.
Now they can work 180 days and not have to pay this. Problem with the retirees is
They don't wanna do it. I know. Just, you might get one out of 100, I'm just.
And the other part, Aaron, the other part, social security.
Yeah, watch the social.
You gotta watch social security.
On the,
Oh, that's why
unless you're
They
65,
get you.
That's where they.
That's where it got
if you're over.
Are we doing
65.
unfinished business yet?
If you got something, if you want something to bring up, are we good with
Oh,
the agenda we had?
I don't know, we go with it?
I'm fine.
Okay. I know this is gonna sound stupid after this, but I want to have a meeting about the parade next year in September before the end of the school year. So, we could have it at my house, but my house is very little. And I don't know about the sunshine laws. If you have too many people.
No, 5.
That's all right.
Once you get 5, you have a quorum. It gets kind of sketchy.
Okay.
Board member, just look
So I
that
know,
way.
Mr. Heckman, you
Look
wanted
that
to
way
be
when I'm
involved,
saying.
and Dawn, you wanted to be involved. And is there anybody else who wants to be involved? Okay, hard, okay,
That's
then
5.
Oh, yeah.
you can let me know, if you want to. I'd like to have it before the end of April, like after Easter sometime. I live right across from the M&M sandwich shop, so I'm very.
You buying? Are you
Yeah,
buying?
Centrally
You buying
located.
food?
I'm not feeding you, but if you want to
Oh,
go
well.
across the street and get something to eat, you can get something. Let me know what night's best for you, because I don't think we have any after the 20th, right? We don't have any board meetings. Do we?
Well, May.
May.
No, I
It's in
mean
April.
in April.
Yeah, that's only meeting in April.
It's
That
fine.
Thursday night of that week's good for me.
Thursday night of that week is good for you? It's fine for me.
I am best after it,
You're best after April
but I mean,
26th.
if you guys can make
That's-
that. we can
That's
have
after
it
the
fine.
26th, so
After
I
the
think that's the
22nd.
27th or 28th, whatever it is.
Because
Okay,
everything else in the world is.
all right. Oh, then I'll look up a time and I'll send it out and you could come to my house and like I said, just remember.
You still want to wear any costume, right? No costume.
No,
No cost.
no, we're
Then
not.
whatever you decide is fine with me. No costume.
You don't want to be going?
I don't want to drive just up a links or whatever weird things people come up with. Pirates or,
Oh, hey.
what's the theme again?
Pardon?
What's the theme again?
I don't know. I forget.
But if that's get.
Something about
No,
the future.
No.
But I,
no, 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 that's-
I saw this really cool idea of how to make giant pencils out of
Just as a-
those noodles that you swim with.
Will be highlighted.
Can't you picture us standing all on the floor with a giant pencil?
Once it doesn't break.
No.
No costume.
Okay,
T-shirts are great.
okay.
Go ahead.
T-shirts and stuff.
Speaking of t-shirts.
Okay.